Welcome to Ladies Group Chat, where Kerry Washington, internet nonsense, and real-life survival tips collide. Today has everything. Kerry Washington talking about power and secrets, women getting policed by other women, and the internet once again proving it can turn absolutely anything into a morality play. Also, some relationship advice that is so practical it might actually save your next trip. Kerry Washington talking about scandal still hits because she framed it in the bluntest possible way. In her lifetime for about 40 years, she had never seen a black woman lead a network drama. And once you hear that, the whole thing lands differently, because suddenly this wasn't just a cool job or a hot show, it was carrying this ridiculous amount of pressure on its back. Networks had treated casting a black woman as a risk, which already tells you a lot about the imagination level in those rooms. Then black women showed up for scandal in a huge grassroots way. The ratings were real, the cultural impact was real, and all that so-called risk magically became a business case. That success helped open the lane for more shows led by women of colour, like How to Get Away with Murder, Quantico, Empire. Funny how fast the industry learns when the spreadsheet starts talking. One of the smartest things she said was about Olivia Pope's whole appeal. It's that perfect exterior and then total private chaos underneath, which honestly is half of modern womanhood. Kerry said she used the role almost like practice. The suits, the shoes, the posture, the whole command the room vibe helped her learn how to show up as powerful off-screen too. And I actually love that, because it makes power feel less mystical and more like a skill you rehearse until your nervous system catches up. Her point was that women need permission to fall forward, to act with confidence before they fully feel it. That is useful, that is realistic, that is way better than waiting to become some perfectly healed Zen queen before you speak up in a meeting. She also talked about her early acting career like she was basically a pawn, getting moved around by executives, branding, all the external machinery. That frustration is what pushed her into producing and building Simpson Street, because eventually waiting to be chosen gets very old, very fast. Her version of producing was throwing your own party instead of hoping for an invitation, and honestly that line alone explains why creative control matters. It let her back projects that reflected her values, like Confirmation, and it let her use whatever power she'd built to change the culture behind the camera too. That's the part people skip. Access matters, but control over the workplace matters just as much. Kerry got deeply personal too, from revealing her own abortion to talking about learning later in life that she was conceived through sperm donation. What tied those stories together was secrecy. Not cartoon villain secrecy, but family secrecy, and social secrecy built out of shame, protection, fear, and the hope that maybe if nobody says something out loud, it won't hurt as much. She made the point that silence doesn't just protect people, it also feeds stigma, and then stigma becomes policy, or distance, or confusion about your own identity. Her abortion disclosure especially was framed as political action, not just memoir catharsis. With Roe overturned, she was clear that speech, protest, and voting matter because secrecy gives lawmakers way too much room to control other people's lives. And then she said something that I wish could be stapled to every phone screen. So much body shaming and harsh criticism of women comes from other women. Not because women are uniquely evil, but because scarcity and internalized nonsense make people lash out sideways. Her fix was refreshingly simple. Before publicly dragging another woman, pause, ask why it bothers you. Maybe have the conversation privately if it even needs to happen at all. Revolutionary concept, you do not have to perform your reaction for an audience. She also spoke about eating disorder recovery in a way that felt very unsanitized. She described disembodiment, suicidal ideation, and the reality that recovery took real infrastructure, therapy, nutrition support, group work, ongoing effort. Not a wellness hack, not a green juice, actual treatment. And she highlighted something important. Eating disorders get underdiagnosed in marginalized communities, which means people miss care because the stereotype of who looks sick is still way too narrow. That's why she supports a more team-based, insurance-friendly model, because treatment should not be reserved for wealthy white girls with perfect access to specialists. That same practical vibe came up in the health chat around genetic and blood testing too. Not in a weird biohacking cult way, more in a maybe there is a reason you're exhausted way. Examples they mentioned were finding vitamin D issues, MTHFR variants, even ruling out scary dementia-linked genes, then using that info for targeted supplements or lifestyle shifts that actually helped with energy and brain fog. I'm not saying every personality trait needs a blood panel, but if somebody tells me my fatigue has paperwork, I am listening. Then there's the other giant theme running through all of this. Performative outrage is everywhere, and everybody seems exhausted by it except the people making money from it. They brought up public walkbacks like Doja Cat admitting a virtue signaling post, which really gets at how online outrage often works. People pile on fast, build a temporary community, get their little moral dopamine hit, and then somebody has to backpedal later. It's transactional. The reward is attention, clicks, belonging, maybe a career bump if you package the take correctly. And because media is so democratized now, it's not just TV pundits driving the cycle. It's creators, green screen explainers, TikTok clips, leaks, reaction accounts, all of it moving at the speed of bad judgment. That doesn't mean everything is fake or every scandal is meaningless. It means the system rewards intensity before accuracy, and regret usually arrives after the engagement numbers do. That same conversation drifted into AI etiquette, which sounds random until you think about it. Their point was that saying please and thank you to a machine isn't about protecting the robot's feelings, it's about protecting yours. If kids grow up barking orders at everything that responds, that's going to spill over into human life. Also, anecdotally polite prompts apparently get better answers, which is honestly the most passive-aggressive possible endorsement for manners. On the relationship side, I loved how unglamorous and useful the advice was. Preventative couples therapy got a big endorsement, especially sessions that start with appreciation before you get into the annoying stuff. That makes so much sense, because half of relationship conflict is forgetting you're on the same team. They were also very strong on keeping some independence inside marriage. Separate interests, separate friends, your own brain, your own life. Extremely healthy, extremely underrated. And if you're moving in together, do not pack first and purge later. That is chaos behavior. Decide what you're keeping, donating, or selling before the boxes happen, and accept that some stuff has to become ours instead of mine. Then we got the travel tips, which were incredible because they were so specific. Scope the hotel bathroom situation immediately. Find the lobby bathroom. Check the fan. Use shower noise, sink noise, even a podcast if you need privacy. Honestly, this is the kind of advice people act too elegant to need until they're trapped in a romantic getaway with one tiny bathroom and a relationship-threatening level of silence. They also said, divide trip responsibilities on purpose. One person handles itinerary and reservations, the other handles transport or luggage or keys. If one adult is mysteriously incapable of every practical task, that's not quirky, that's a red flag wearing flip-flops. And bring backup rings, wipes, meds, aloe, spare underwear. Nothing says enduring love like being prepared for motion sickness and a ferry mistake. That's it for today's ladies group chat. A little power, a little mess, a little internet skepticism, and hopefully at least one tip you'll actually use. Thanks for hanging out, and keep your standards high and your hotel bathroom scouting immediate. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.